So who have we
me
got
see.
here? Vlad, I know you, and who have we got with us?
This is Judge Muntenaar from Hodl Finance, actually the incubator of MetaRembrandt.
Oh, fantastic.
I actually make sure that all the operations on the side of Hodl Finance and the projects that we're doing run smoothly. So therefore, pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Rory. I'm the director of Sedition. I know we've been in touch on email, but this is the first time we've spoken, so hi.
Yeah, exactly. No, pleasure to meet you too. Pleasure to meet you too.
So I can see we've got the room filling up nicely. Where are you speaking to us from? You're in Holland right now, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we are a company based in the Netherlands as of now. Actually in Rotterdam, in the Maastor. I don't know if you're very familiar with Rotterdam.
I am, yeah. I love the city, actually. Everyone goes to Amsterdam. I actually prefer Rotterdam. It's just as pretty, but nowhere near as busy.
Exactly.
Same here.
Exactly.
Same here. Yeah, it's lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the whole point. You know, the view on the Maas, it's super nice on the river, and like in Amsterdam, it's like you say, it's a lot more busy, and here's more. How do you say it? We call Amsterdam the more creative city, and we call Rotterdam more the workers. The workers' city. So
the workers' city.
Yeah,
the
like workers. It. Yeah.
Well, if I say we'll have to come up with an excuse to come out there and visit you, Jess.
Yeah, for sure. So. Always welcome. Always welcome.
Perfect. I myself am in the southeast corner of England at the moment. I'm actually in Canterbury, which is my hometown. We did have an office in London, but we closed our office space after paying rent on an empty room for about a year during the pandemic. We decided that probably wasn't the most economic good piece of sense. So we closed the office and we've been working at home ever since. I am planning on jumping back into an office space at some point in the coming year. But we're also used to working from home right now. There hasn't been any real impetus to do it.
Yeah, well, actually, you know, these days, working from or let's say remote working is the way to go, right? It's the new it's a new working structure. However, when COVID hit, everything like that, yeah, every company actually had to restructure their whole working process where people were working, and actually remote therefore is a very good solution, especially in Web3 where everyone is working all around the world instead of coming from one place.
Absolutely. I think it'll become more and more the norm. So we've got a few people that have joined us, which is great. So I figure we can jump in and start cracking. Vlad, do you want to introduce the event and kick things off?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Yes, indeed. Great to see a few people already joining in. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And welcome. So this is the first AMA that we as Sedition are doing in this kind of format. We've done AMAs when I'm just interrogating Rory and asking all the naughty questions that our audience has. We've hosted AMAs with artists, but we have not yet hosted an AMA with a partner of ours. And this is exciting for us. So we've partnered up with MetaRembrandt, and we'll be discussing the partnership and the shape of it in just a moment. Rory and Jess can then share the insights. But yeah, I just will quickly introduce myself and throw the word to Rory and to Jess. So Vlad here, the voice behind Sedition, the community manager here at Sedition, and I really hope that you guys participate actively, ask questions, etc. You can either send messages on Twitter to Sedition's Twitter account. I'll be monitoring it as we speak, or you can just be even more bold and just request a microphone. We promise we don't bite if you come and become speaker with us. With that being said, Rory, Jess, would you like to introduce yourselves? And yeah, let's kick this one off.
Of course.
Yeah, sure.
Hi,
Rory, go ahead.
Thank you. Go ahead. Jess, why don't you go first? You're our guest.
No, you go. No, you go ahead. The floor is completely yours.
Oh, you're too kind. I'll be very brief because they already know me. Basically, I'm Rory. I'm the director of Sedition. Sedition is one of the, if not the original platform to host, share, display, and collect contemporary art. But it's contemporary art purely in digital format. So these are artworks that don't exist physically. They exist within the digital realm. The company has been running now for some 11 years, and the idea is we cover every different aspect of this. So you have digital limited editions, unique pieces, the ability to have a subscription and access your art that way, the ability to pay for public displays and publicly license the works for companies and corporations, and all manner of private usage and private enjoyment. The idea is it's a one-stop portal to jump into the world of contemporary art within the digital universe. Over to you, Jess.
Yeah, well, I think that's a very nice and solid introduction about what you're doing, and I think therefore also, we stepped into this partnership because we just see that Sedition is doing this transformation between traditional and to the digital art world, and we just really like that and felt this is something really in line with what MetaRembrandt actually is doing, because MetaRembrandt is actually a project originating from the fact that Dr. Ernst van der Wetering, in cooperation with the Rembrandt Heritage Foundation, managed to digitally capture all the Rembrandt paintings on high definition. So this is about 306 paintings. And we want to be able to showcase this to all the people in the world so that everyone could have access to this unique set. Because some of them you can imagine are hanging in private collections. Some of them also in public in public spaces, so as in museums, for example. But other than that, we want to showcase the whole life of Rembrandt and the whole all the paintings he created, and put this all in one place, which is going to be the MetaRembrandt Museum. Therefore, we are actually launching a NFT set, which is the Nightwatch NFT. And the Nightwatch NFT will give you access towards this MetaRembrandt Museum, which is going to be built in the coming months. Then also next to that, people will be able to vote how the museum actually will be looking, what we will be changing, what we will be adding, those kind of things. And next to that, the people who are now minting in phase 1 actually will have the exclusive access to our and also a personalized version of the meta book, which we will be creating for 300 for all the 306 paintings as a taste before the MetaRembrandt Museum. So all together, MetaRembrandt is all about preserving the art of Rembrandt, preserving his heritage, and making it accessible for current as well as future generations.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And let me just add to that quite obviously, I'd imagine, but we as a company and everyone in our team was really excited when we came across MetaRembrandt, simply because for us, this is exactly what we've been waiting for. People like MetaRembrandt are very much our ideological brothers. They are essentially pulling on the rope from the other end from ourselves. We're bringing the contemporary landscape to the digital sphere and trying to present it to as wide an audience as possible. And people like MetaRembrandt are bringing some amazing old masters and classic, the kind of works we all studied in art school, and the kind of pieces that Sedition doesn't deal with. And they're doing exactly the same thing and presenting that to a much more global audience. So it's hugely exciting, very much in our alley and in line with our interests, and so both personally and professionally, we were delighted to jump on this. So it's a pleasure to finally be in touch, Jess.
Yeah, for the same. I think, like I said before, we got in touch through a colleague of mine here at the office who met Vlad at a conference, and he actually told me about the project. And we were actually preparing all for MetaRembrandt. We got to those editions, and actually I thought, this is super in line with what we are doing, or let's say we are in line with what you're doing, since you guys originate, let's say, a further way back. But from that point of view, I think it's about enhancing each other, and especially in this space of digital art, digitalizing art, because there is this taboo around digital art, because some traditional partners, they are very we don't know what to do with it, it's not the real deal, anything like that. But from our perspective, it needs to be accessible for anyone. And also, as you could see, or let's say in the current times, when they actually threw soup over the Van Gogh or anything like that, it's also very important to preserve the art before it actually gets damaged or anything like that. What actually happened with the Nightwatch itself. So
that's true. Yeah, Night Watchman got attacked as well, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you are aware of everything that happened, actually, because the Nightwatch actually used to be a lot bigger because it's like cut down because then it fitted in the town hall of Amsterdam between two doors. And on the other hand, it was also attacked one time with acid. And yeah, that's like also a fun part, which is, or let's say not a fun part in the history of art, of course, but in our full NFT set, which is a rarity and an educational part to it. So yeah, from that point of view, indeed, like you said, it's important to preserve this art since, yeah, especially those kind of things could happen.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And let me just add, by the way, that the idea of attacking art to make a political point and purify the world is something I think we saw around at World War II. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, from my standpoint, I don't know, what the whole connection there is, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the way to go, to be honest. But yeah, that's I think a different conversation to have.
exactly, we could be going off track slightly.
Exactly.
Well, isn't that the most fun part, going off track? And also just want to add, couldn't agree more. It is very weird. Why do people want to make these kind of statements by attacking our history? But okay, yes, indeed. Let's not go off track. Otherwise, we might be talking about this the whole evening. Yeah, just want to give a shout out to everyone, inviting everyone to take part, ask questions about Sedition, ask questions about MetaRembrandt. And also, I just want to mention to all of the Sedition audience listening that if you're signed up with us, we would have sent you a message to tell you about this AMA and tell about this partnership. And there is also a code that you can actually go and mint an NFT, which is still in phase 1. It's not publicly possible to mint it. And actually, I checked this morning and was happy to see that some people have actually done it. So that's really great. And yeah, hopefully more people will be doing it shortly. But with that being said, I'll be inviting people who are here to be speakers if they want to. No, don't need to drop out if you don't want to. No big deal. But yeah, actually, with this being said, quick question I'll throw to Rory. So Sedition has just recently jumped into the NFT space, and how has that been the case? And why only now? And what does the future hold? I think that could lead to some hopefully interesting discussion.
Of course. The reason we've moved into the NFT space, it's kind of weird. I mean, when it looks from the outside perspective as though this is something that's just happened now, and arguably it is, but we've been looking at that space and poised to make that move for the last few years. Many people for a long time now have been sort of knocking on our door saying, "Hey, look, why are you not doing NFTs? Why are you not in this? You guys have, some of the best digital artworks. You're one of the most established digital art platforms. Why are you not in NFTs?" And the truth is that we always wanted to be. We love the idea and a lot of the promise that tech holds. We deliberately held back until now because it didn't do everything we wanted, and it did some things that we didn't want. The primary reason simply the fact that we were looking at Ethereum as a blockchain. It has better smart contracts, better maturity, better price points. It is, in fact, better on more or less every parameter, except for the fact that it was operating on the proof of work algorithm rather than proof of stake. What that means for anyone who isn't interested in who isn't aware of it in very simple terms, is simply that one was enormously un-eco-friendly and caused an enormous amount of resource to run it, and the other one doesn't. The proof of stake version is far more carbon neutral and more sustainable. So we wanted to hold back for that reason primarily. There were other things as well. That was by far the thing that was really causing us to watch and see. Because we have more than 1 million artworks on Sedition, and we're adding more artists and more artworks each week. We've got no interest in doing something that's going to sink the planet and destroy our world. It's we're all a part of it, and we figure that's very important as well. So we wanted to wait until such time as that shift has happened. So we prepared everything, and we got ready to press the button as of when that shift took place, which, as you know, has now happened. So we are now making announcements every week to announce which artworks, the historical ones that already exist on the site, which ones can now be minted as NFTs. We're also inviting artists in the community to come and drop either works that can be minted as soon as they're sold, or works that are dropped as fresh NFTs right from the point of sale. Both of those options are available to us, but that's really why we held back, because a lot of the underlying parts of that technology weren't doing things we were happy with at the time.
Yeah, I think.
Of course.
Yeah, I will jump into that. Yeah, no, I think it's a really great step, and especially as an established party as Sedition, who has a big track record already in digital art, but then not really in NFT itself, waiting for the right moment to implement this technology and jump on the fact, okay, where are we going with the current innovation? And it's just very good to see, especially also you can see it with big auction houses, also Christie's, Sotheby's, those kind of parties. They're all seeing the potential of this, and I think that's mainly in the fact of what I like the most about the NFT part to it is really the ownership. So if you would have a digital piece of a physical art piece, of course there could also be someone who is going to make a copy of it or anything like that. But on blockchain, of course, there's like ownership bounded to it, and especially in a way, if you are going to, let's say, demolish the traditional artwork or the physical artwork, or just going to be have it in a private collection and thing like that, and mint as the first batch between 1 and 10 artworks of it, then there's a very nice part to it, of course, that people become real ownership of this limited amount of artworks, of this special artwork, so to say. And other than that, also for creators, also for people who are collecting art, but also for creators, the fees, of course, the royalties. It's mainly for creators, of course, but therefore it's also super nice because they all get reimbursed for the fact of creating the art, and if it goes from person to person in a later stage, that everyone gets their share because they are the ones creating the art, and when it goes from them to the buyer, then there's of course a price that they get. But if it goes from then that person to another person, then in the physical art world, there's no track of it anymore, and the artist itself is kind of forgotten. But in this case, especially on blockchain, when it goes from hand to hand, there's always this royalty implemented, which is from my perspective very good for the art scene.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, in actual fact, what you've just outlined there was by far and away the standout piece of that technology. That's what really caught our eye. I cut my teeth in the art world as a physical bricks and mortar art dealer, working in galleries and placing paintings and physical artworks. And for years and years, I've been very, very well aware of the fact that most artists get essentially cut out of the value of their work if they do really well in their career. If they're still producing work and they're really well known, a la Damien Hirst and people, then great, they'll make a lot of money. But people whose work is discovered slightly late, or their early pictures suddenly accrues to enormous values and then changes hands in the back room of a dealer or an auction house, for the most part, the artist is not getting any of that, or has to have collection agencies chase it down and secure the money and transmit it back to the artist. It's a whole three-ring circus. And that's been that way for the entire of my career. So when I first encountered NFTs, and there's this built-in part of the contract that captures a chunk of that resale value and delivers it back to the artist each time, I thought, oh my God, that's fantastic. That's going to change the art world completely. And it is. This finally means that the artist can always be rewarded for what their work does, no matter when in their career they create it. That's a fundamental sea change from where things have been.
Yeah, exactly. I fully agree with that, and that's also, I think one of the biggest changes that it's making. And I think that's just for the artists, like you're saying, who are mostly getting known in the later stage of their life. It's super important for them, because if they sold any artworks, in the beginning of their lifetime, and then no one actually knows where it is anymore, then for them it's super important that there's still this this royalty fee bounded to it. And I also think that blockchain and NFT also brought together a lot more artistic people, which now have a much bigger reach, instead of only let's say if I were an artist in physical artist here in Rotterdam, my reach would be Rotterdam in previous times, or because I was still like a small artist. But if I'm now participating in the NFT space, of course you always need to find your way. But I think there's a lot more possibilities in this space as of now, because a lot more artistic people are participating there and actually enhancing each other and making sure that they get a stage instead of remaining these small artists who are, let's say, painting in their basement.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. In fact, one of the most exciting and rewarding parts of setting up Sedition was completely unintended, and I never would have guessed it was coming. I hadn't planned for it to come. But as soon as we started running the company, two things became apparent. The immediacy of the internet and the ability to reach people globally in real time, and that immediate communicability made such a difference, because suddenly you've got hundreds and hundreds of amazing artists in this one place on the site for Sedition. But at the same time, they're a different generation in many cases. These guys are new, they're part of the digital generation, they're used to social media, and they reach out and want to collaborate. I mean, I've got hundreds of artists going, "Hey, I love this guy's work. Can you put me in touch? I'd love to do something with him." Or this musician wants to do a soundtrack for that guy. There's a level of a sort of a melting pot and a cross pollination between all of these guys that happens on Sedition in a way that I've never seen before in my career until this whole thing came up. And it's accelerating, as you say. The internet, the digital sphere as a whole is this wonderful melting pot for talent and interaction and communicability. It's unprecedented and wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. And that's with the artistic communities. Like I said before, I think that's one of the most intriguing things I saw when we were starting this project. I was not completely, let's say, into art. I liked art, but I was not, let's say, into the scene or anything. But because of the project, got to know just many more people who were actually in the art space or in the NFT art space. And by talking with those people and actually making the connections with the right people, you get to know, let's say, the NFT art space on itself, which is something really unique because, like I said before, it's they're all enhancing each other. And from that point of view, what I really liked, I saw people actually selling their NFT art, and actually with the same money that they got from the NFT that was sold from them, or the same Ethereum amount, of course, they actually bought pieces of other artists to make sure that they also got their piece of the cake. So they were all like, it's, let's say, sustainable ecosystem, circular economy, where new money flows in, but the money around between the artists all flows around. And I think that's something really, really strong about the NFT art community at this point, which I really, think is innovative.
I completely agree. It's and again, actually, that relates to my own experience on Sedition. Just an indication as to how that arts community works and how supportive it is of itself and of each other. There are two sections on Sedition. When you first land on the artworks there's the curated platform. Curated platform is an invitation-only space, and that's where you're going to find the names that you know and love, like Damien Hirst, Tracy Emin, Yoko Ono, and so on. Behind that and alongside it is Open Platform. Open Platform is a free forum where any artist around the world can join up with or without any criteria, essentially. And what's really fascinating is that Open Platform was something we wanted to do because we wanted to allow everyone access to this space. But it very quickly became this self-supporting and self-sustaining part of the site. You've essentially got the artists there will all reach out, they'll buy each other's works, they'll promote and post each other's works, they'll put messages out on social media and YouTube and other places when they find something they like. They are their own individual advert, newspaper, blog post. It's a whole thing in one space. And that wasn't planned by Sedition. This just grew completely organically from that area, which is exactly what you're talking about, the ability for the artist community to foreground, support, and promote each other. It really is quite special to be a part of.
Yeah, super nice, and very glad to hear that Sedition is being a big part of this. I think it's it's something really special in the art space at this point, and in the development of the current digitalizing of the whole space, which is, from my perspective, also something which needs to evolve in the traditional art space a little bit more, but I think this will come over time since they don't want to dip their toes in something which they're not 100% familiar with, so to say.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, whilst we've got a number of people here, I think we wanted to foreground a competition that you guys are about to do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So, yeah, go ahead, Vlad.
Yes, I've been so silent, so I can speak a little bit. Also, just first of all, I just want to remind everyone that I would love if anyone jumps in with any kind of questions to Rory, questions to Jess. If you have any questions about Sedition, about MetaRembrandt, etc., do please ask us questions. I've extended invites to a bunch of people here, so you can just accept speaker invite. Oh, and Chris accepted the invite. So, yeah, let's actually give Chris a possibility to ask his question, and then I'll talk about the competition in a sec.
Hi, guys. Great to be on this AMA. I do have a question. It's for Rory. So I've had the good fortune over the last few weeks of spending some time in person with both Maxim Zestkov and indeed Refik Anadol, who are both in, Maxim obviously now works in London, but Refik was traveling. And I obviously mentioned to both of them individually the excitement that I have personally about the forthcoming ability to be able to mint their works as NFTs on Sedition. And in both cases, I think they were, I don't want to say hesitant, but I think they probably felt that they hadn't yet been fully engaged with the sort of, the process, and probably hadn't had enough of an interaction with Sedition and sort of had the sort of the vision articulated to them. And so that's maybe where I was looking to you to understand what the strategy is about reaching out to them and other artists to ensure that you're obviously bringing them alongside and getting them as enthusiastic,
of course,
as I am about this.
Absolutely. Well, to give you to put this in context for everyone else, Maxim and Refik are both incredible artists. They're two titans within the digital sphere. Both of them are on Sedition. Both of them, if you Google their names or look at them, you'll see some incredible public art displays and other pieces there. They really are very much at the top of their game and incredible artists. They are the long-term goal for Sedition is that all of our works eventually will migrate to the blockchain. Initially, when we put the word out to the artists, a group of the artists who were most keen to take advantage of that move initially came back to us. And so we foregrounded essentially our first 6 months of this with the artists that we'd originally lined up for those launches. So until we get to the early part of next year, we don't actually have anything on our launch calendar to include any of the other artists, which is why at the moment we haven't actually had those conversations. They know about our plan in general terms. They don't know what it necessarily means for them. We are in the process of speaking to all of the artists on the site, both open platform and on curated, although obviously we're going through the curated platform first. And we will have an individual conversation with all of these guys. At the moment, we haven't had to accelerate that simply because it isn't relevant for about 4 to 5 months before we can actually start to mint those works anyway. In the long run, we always try to work with the artists. Now, I haven't spoken to Refik or Maxim about this as yet, but essentially the idea is their works would be mintable in the same way that the other pieces on Sedition are mintable. Some of the artists we've spoken to have had concerns about exactly what is the dynamic or the structure of our smart contract. So obviously we've given them a copy of that to overview and take a look at to make sure it aligns with themselves. It won't be exactly the same as their own smart contracts, but our key impetus here is to make sure that we don't undermine or in any way detract from their own projects and what they're doing themselves. For us, the smart contract thing on Sedition is a way of essentially listing ownership. It's a way of doing it outside of Sedition. It's saying, I own this piece, and if I sell it again, I'm due for some money, but actually if I sell it again, the artist will get a share of that as well. And this is indelibly and irreversibly a piece that was minted via Sedition and was created via this artist or this creator. That really is the sort of nuts and bolts of a smart contract for us. Many artists and other people there have some extra bells and whistles attached, and we will be talking to the artist to see what they want to do vis-a-vis their own contracts on Sedition. But that's a very fluid situation, and we're pretty flexible, since the idea is to make sure that we align ourselves with what our artists want to present to the community. So the answer to your question there really is yes, we'll undoubtedly be reaching out to them. Refik and Maxim in particular are two of the more important artists that we deal with. We've done public displays, commissions, and lots of other pieces for them and other artists around them. So clearly we're going to need to have a conversation with them as well as all the other people on the site. This is not anything outside of our current game plan. It's exactly what will be happening. I don't envisage that taking place until probably January, February of next year. If either one of them wants to have a chat before that, of course, I'm always available. But we haven't planned to reach out until that time.
Great, thanks, Rory. Thanks for that. I guess the only thing I'd add is that, because there's so many people so excited about it, they are probably hearing about it through other channels.
Oh, I know they've heard about it for sure. I've even swapped an email, but I just haven't actually scheduled a time to sit down and go through the nitty-gritty with them yet, because we hadn't lined any of their works up for treatment yet. Nor will I until I've spoken to them. It would just be impolite.
Understood. Got it. Thanks, Rory, for clearing that up.
No worries, Chris.
Cool. Thank you, Chris, for your question. Does anyone else have any questions? Feel free to request mic or accept the mic invite. And in the meantime, I'll just quickly mention the competition that we're going to be starting to run tomorrow, actually, on our Twitter. Competition is called Art for Art. So we are going to want everyone to reply to the tweet, which we'll be posting tomorrow, with your Rembrandt-related art, and retweet the tweet and follow both Sedition and MetaRembrandt. So you can already put your thinking hats on and find the art that you love. It can be both the art that you created yourself, or it can be an art that someone else created, as long as it's your favorite Rembrandt art. And once the competition is wrapped up, and once the winner is selected, they are going to get a grand prize of an art NFT of their choice worth 0.2 ETH, and MetaRembrandt will arrange that. So hopefully this competition would get you excited. Guys, did I miss anything about any details about the competition? I think I covered it.
I think you covered it perfectly, and I think, like I said before, the main takeaway here is the part that we anticipated on artists supporting other artists. That's why, the Art for Art competition, that's how it originated, actually. We saw this happening. We saw artists buying art of other artists to make sure that they all, can share with can share in the benefits. And that's why we also want now everyone to encourage everyone to send in Rembrandt-related art, even though it's, art itself or a meme or anything like that, which is in line with Rembrandt. And then, we will choose a winner, and the winner will be able to pick an art piece of his or her liking of 0.2 ETH of an artist. And we as MetaRembrandt will buy it for you and then send the art to you. So you will not get just the 0.2 ETH. No, you will get the art. And that's why, it's going to be the Art for Art competition.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jess.
All right, guys, does anyone else have any kind of questions? Have extended a couple of invites to speak to a few people. But if not, in the meantime, I would have a couple of questions. Jess, you've briefly mentioned it in passing, but maybe you'd like to elaborate a bit on the story, how MetaRembrandt started. I think that's a very fascinating story about the collecting of access of paintings, of all of Rembrandt's paintings, if you would be able to tell a little bit. And of course, also mention a bit about what the future plans are.
Of course. Yeah, because it's indeed, like you say, it's a pretty special story how it all started, because it started with the Rembrandt Heritage Foundation. They were given the task of the Council of Amsterdam to actually organize an event about Rembrandt, because it was Rembrandt's, I think it was his X amount years that he was dead, or his birthday or anything like that. And what actually happened there is that they asked, can you organize an event where we have something in memory of Rembrandt. So what they wanted to do is bring all the paintings of Rembrandt physically together, because Dr. Ernst van der Retering actually knew the people who had the paintings in the private collections, and of course the public, the ones in the public areas, they could reach out to those museums. So when they actually tried to do this, what happened and what they found out is that those paintings were so valuable that actually no insurance company was willing to insure the whole collection in one place. And that's actually kind of logical, because the value of these paintings altogether is like of enormous, it's an enormous amount. And on the other hand, also it's not allowed because of anti-terrorism reasons. Because you can imagine that those kind of events could be a target for terrorists to actually demolish the art and to have a, let's say, impact on the art world. So it was not allowed and it was not possible. So then they actually thought, okay, how can we do this in another way? So they stepped together, the guys from the Rembrandt Heritage Foundation and Ernst van Wetering, and they actually thought of the possibility to gather those paintings digitally, capture them on high definition, and actually try to do that. And they actually managed to do it within a time frame of approximately 10 years. Like they told me, the ones in public you can gather in, let's say, half a year. You can gather around 150, 200, something like that. But then, the leftover, let's say 106 paintings are all in private collections. And there you need to have an entrance there. You need to know the people, let's say the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, the Royal House of England. And actually, Ernst van Wetering, he had this entrance, and exchange for making this high definition photograph, he actually verified if the paintings that were hanging there were real. So there was like a mutual benefit to this. You could call it partnership or anything like that, to this agreement. And so they did. So they gathered all these paintings, and afterwards, Dr. van Wetering remastered the Night Watch, for example, but also some other paintings which were damaged, and also researched some of them. And they even found out pretty funny things about some of the paintings, which will all be displayed in the meta book, because that's the place where at first all the paintings will be shown, and also where all the research and remastered versions will be explained but also displayed. And I think that's one of the things to do up front, and then we go towards, of course, the MetaRembrandt Museum. In between, we also want to launch the grid. So the grid is going to be, because we divided the Night Watch in 8,000 pieces, we created a grid where you can actually, or let's say not yet created, we are going to create a grid where you can locate your piece and actually see, okay, what is the rarity of your piece? What is the story behind your piece? So that there's also an educational part to it, instead of only, let's say, a rarity aspect, which is pretty common in NFT, of course. But there's also an educational part to it, so that if you click on your piece, that you can see, oh, I have a piece of the girl, for example, and where does the girl exactly stand for in the Night Watch painting, or the spear? What is, let's say, the whole story behind the spear, which is in the Night Watch? And those kind of things we thought was very intriguing for especially Rembrandt, people who love Rembrandt, to actually read about it and learn about it. And so actually then the grid will be in between, and after that we will be building the MetaRembrandt Museum. And the MetaRembrandt Museum will then be, of course, the final destination where we will be going, or let's say final. It's not going to be final, because we also want to grow with other old paint masters next to Rembrandt, but first want to start with Rembrandt, of course. But there actually people will be able, who have the NFT, will be able to access this set for a lifetime, the full collection of Rembrandt, 306 paintings, and that's possible through the NFT. Other than that, people can also rent out the NFT to other Rembrandt enthusiasts, which is something unique, because how I see it and how I also tell it to people in spaces, or people I tell about, in physical conversations, I always tell them, like, you will become your own micro museum manager, where you will actually be enjoying the benefits of us, or let's say together creating the MetaRembrandt Museum, having your voice into this, how it's going to look and how it will change and everything, but also enjoying the benefits of, of course, the rental part, where you actually can earn on the fact that people, that you can rent out your NFT to people who also want to enjoy this whole set. Because we thought it's so important to make this possible, to make it accessible, because the price will also not be super expensive to even join or even go in for 24 hours, rent out the NFT for 24 hours for the museum, because that will be between $2.50 and $7.50. just because we know there's such a big reach to go, and to maintain it and to develop it even further, there's enough people in the world to enjoy this whole set, and enough people in the world who would like to see the full collection of Rembrandt. So actually from that point of view, that's now the main focus, so to say. That's where we want to go towards to, and in an even further future, we want to, like I said, implement other old paint masters, but even want to improve the digital experience in comparison to the physical experience in a museum. Because in a museum, of course, you cannot touch the paintings, and the high definition photos that we have on some of them, you can even see the depth of the painting, so the thickness of the paint. And how cool would it be that you can even feel the paintings through touching glove technology, and actually can feel the depth of the painting itself. And that's going to be something to enhance, let's say, the experience on a physical point, and enhance it with the digital with the digital part. But like I said, that's going to be that's just an idea. It's in the very far future.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you, Jess. And I think we have one more person who'd like to ask a question. Bolin, go ahead. You are now speaker.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Jess, and hi, Rory. Thank you for your interesting talk. And I just have a quick question. And maybe I feel like Jess already answered some of the parts, and maybe it can be overlapped. But I just wonder, so the MetaRembrandt is working with the existing masterpiece of the Rembrandt, and Sedition also have some digitalized image or video of physical artwork. And you guys think like there's a like specific or special artistic value of the NFT or digitalized version of artwork, which is different from the physical existing work?
Interesting question. Want to say that?
Yeah, you go ahead, Rory.
Okay, well, my first thoughts on that would be, I think what Jess said earlier was particularly fundamental. I don't think anything would replace the original physical artifact of an old master or a historical painting that was done years ago. The fact of that being a tangible physical object that is also a milestone in history, that's a very particular thing. NFTs, of course, are a whole different universe, but what's really fascinating with the MetaRembrandt project is this idea of documentation, is this idea of capturing in really exquisite detail every last aspect of those paintings, and making sure that they're held in a medium and in such a way that I suppose ensures that painting against potential loss, damage, the ravages of time. But also, as technology improves and as image capture and all the other sides of that become better and better, you can look more and more into the techniques and the history of the painting purely from this documentation of it. That's one side alone. The other side, of course, is this idea of cultural ownership. I mean, Rembrandt, for the Dutch people, for art lovers across the world, is it's a part of their cultural history. Who's to say who really owns it? In the question of a contemporary artist and their estate, then obviously contemporary artists, they're alive. They're there to earn money from their estate themselves. When they die, the estate will continue to operate with copyrights and everything in place for, I believe, 75 years. But if you're looking at old masters and the pieces that we all studied back in school, this is a completely different area. And to talk about the actual ownership of that, and it's kind of a grey area at best. I mean, this is the culture of an entire nation, of an entire people of Europe in many ways. So it's lovely to be able to carve that up. I love the idea of being able to take a piece and document it in incredible detail, and then break that up into non-fungible tokens that can be individually placed and sold and traded and collected and enjoyed as artworks going down the line in any different media that become available. I think more than anything else, for me, that is where its value resides, despite the potential financial value that can come from holding, reading, collecting, and selling it. That would be
Yeah,
my
and I
view on
think
it.
yeah, and to jump into that, I think it's also on the perspective that yeah, you know, the art pieces itself, like I said before, are also hanging in private collections, and you know, the ownership of these paintings, there's no real ownership, there's no IP bounded to it anymore since it all expired indeed. And therefore we think that, you know, it's super important to have those paintings still also available for other people to enjoy outside of the people who have them hanging in their castles or in their houses or anything like that. So yeah, we just want to have not only a specific painting to be admired by people or be owned by people. No, we want to showcase, let's say, the whole collection, and I think that's yeah, that's the kind of the USP. There's no ownership bounded to it, but there's a showcase bounded to it. We want to showcase this to the world. We want to make it available for everyone, so that yeah, you know, what I said also in other spaces before, it's about the digital art world enhancing the physical art world, and the physical art world enhancing the digital art world. Because if I would be going towards a museum, for, let's say, the Rijksmuseum here in Amsterdam, then I will be able to see 3 at most 4 Rembrandt paintings. And of course, in a physical way, there's like a full energy atmosphere around it. But yeah, you can see 3 or 4, and yeah, that's where it ends. You need to go to another museum to yeah, get the new experience, so to say. And yeah, what we think is enhancing their where the digital art world comes in is that you can showcase all these paintings in one place. You can see the life of Rembrandt, but you can also, let's say, orientate. Okay, which paintings would I really love to see? And even though if people are not available, not possible to go because of physical, mental, or financial reasons, yeah, they'll also be able to actually see all of them in a digital experience. And I think, yeah, coming back to the ownership, I think from that point of view, I think, yeah, just everyone should be able to enjoy them, and it should not only be available for the people who have them hanging in their houses, but yeah, it should be available for everyone.
I completely agree. I mean, that ties back to Sedition as well. When we first set the site up, we had enormous support from all of the artists involved. And a large part of that was simply what I was talking about earlier, in the way that the art community tends to support and back each other up. But the other part of it was really that idea that it is for everybody. I love what you were talking about there, about the idea of bringing all of Rembrandt's works together, because it's such a powerful thing. If you're looking at a big artist like Rembrandt, or I saw an amazing Van Gogh exhibition that did this, if you can look at the scope and the body of an artist's work from when he first started right through his career, all the different movements and nuances and changes, it's a story. It's amazing. It's a thoroughly engaging journey that you go on. But most people can't do it. As Jess was saying, you don't get to see that. You see a couple of pictures here, a couple of pictures there, or maybe a catalogue raisonné, and you piece it all together in your own head. To have a destination, physical or online or whatever it may be, that can bring together the entire body of work, I think that's hugely powerful. It's going to be an immensely exciting thing. You can count me among your first visitors.
Yeah, that's super nice there. Yeah, and also, yeah, I think it's like I said, it's also so beautiful that Rembrandt did a lot of self portraits, so you can
Yes,
actually see his moods, his life. Like I said, if he is in that certain period of his life, if he is wealthy or poor or sad or happy or anything like that, and you can see that in his self portraits already. And then, you know, if you combine that also to the paintings that he made outside of his self portraits, then you can really see the fact of, okay, him also losing his wife, him losing his son, decline his self portraits just kind of decline in quality, not in quality of how it's painted, but in quality in terms of how he looks. He's just getting kind of destroyed or something. He's getting less. I don't know. It's just amazing to see it, and I think that's something which is, I actually for a lot more old paint masters, especially when they have a lot of paintings on their name. it's very actually it can almost never be done because it's like I said, the private collection. Yeah, we're very privileged to be able to do this for people and to showcase this, since there's a whole story behind him and not only, let's say, in one painting itself.
No, very much so. I think it'll be fascinating. When are you? When? And I should know this already. I apologise, but when is the entire MetaRembrandt museum and everything going to be up and running?
Yeah, since we are now actually selling the NFTs in different phases, we want to. The NFT is made because. Okay, let me start from the beginning. Because to gather all these paintings, it already costed, the Rembrandt Heritage Foundation a substantial amount of money to do. So it was kind of the MVP that they created. They created this IP of all paintings together, remastered and researched, and now they actually want to bring it to all the people through the MetaRembrandt Museum. So the Nightwatch NFT can also be seen as a kind of fundraising for the MetaRembrandt Museum. Of course, everyone will there be kind of co-founders or the micro museum managers, as I told about. And we want to build this after phase 3. We're now in phase 1, but we want to build this after phase 3. And the build of the Metaverse Museum will take approximately 6 months. And then it will be finished with all the paintings hanging there, with all the researchers hanging there, and how we exactly and what we're exactly going to use. That's still the question, because we want to make it accessible, which means we want to make it a web-based version, but then the quality is less. But we also are looking into more quality, but then it will be Unreal Engine 5 as a kind of game. But then people need to download the app, or we need to go to stream it. But then very good internet connection is needed. So there's like this balance that we need to find of maintaining quality, but also having the accessibility for people.
Yeah, of course. In that case, keep us informed. We'll happily spread the word ourselves when everything's up and running.
Of course, yeah, and that's also why I think it's so nice for people to be participating at this point, because everyone who supports us at this moment, of course, phase 1, everyone will get the meta book with all the paintings and the research and remastered versions already implemented. But other than that, you will also become, let's say, a co-founder of the museum, enjoying the benefits of people visiting in a later stage, renting out your NFTs, but also deciding upon how the museum will look like, and having your place on the founder wall to honor, let's say, the people who helped us funding the MetaRembrandt Museum.
Fantastic.
Cool. But yeah, I think there are no more questions now in the audience. So I think with that, I'd like to ask both Rory, Jess to say closing remarks. And we could start wrapping this up. It was a very good discussion. So I think, of course, if there are still any questions coming up, do feel free to request a mic. But let me throw first to Rory. If you could just say your closing remarks and what to expect from Sedition in the future.
Very happy to. Well, let me reassure Chris that we will be reaching out to all of the artists, including Refik and Maxim. I'm well aware that there's a number of collectors who hold those works who are quite keen to know what's going to be happening there. Everything will eventually progress according to our plans. We intend to do this hand in hand with the artists. So at some point, we'll sit down and speak to Refik and Maxim. As I said, that's unlikely to happen until the beginning half of next year, simply because our launch calendar is currently blocked out for the next 3 to 4 months, with quite a few still to be scheduled. This is purely based on a first come, first served basis. The people that queued up first are the ones that we set up first. But we'll make more announcements and keep you informed as that goes. As for Sedition generally, our plans at the moment, we're going to keep developing our NFT entry. Right now, you have the ability to mint artworks from your vault. We'll keep announcing new ones that become mintable each week. We are introducing an auction capability, and we'll be dropping new artworks as NFTs on the site between December and March, when those pieces first start being launched. We're expanding our art stream, our subscription service. There's 2 things happening here. One is we are adding a number of servers and completely overhauling how we compress and deliver the artworks to make sure that we can deliver the top level 4K files through ever smaller internet bandwidths. That's essentially the grand challenge of Sedition's existence. And then alongside that, we're also making sure that we introduce a corporate version of ArtStream. At the moment, if you're a company or a commercial entity and you want to use the artworks for an event, you can do that, but it involves an individual conversation or an email exchange with us, and we'll set up the public display license and prepare the files for you. We want to make this so it's scalable on the site. You can dial into the site, pay the license fee and get the artwork files and do all of that without ever having to have an unpleasant conversation with me. So that will be coming within the end of the year as well. And a number of things that we're doing under the bonnet. This is stuff that wouldn't be particularly exciting for you guys, but for our artists, we are automating all of our payment systems so they can stop worrying about sending us invoices and processing them. It'll just happen automatically behind the scenes. So that's kind of what's on the docket for Sedition. How about you, Jess?
Yeah, there was a good explanation. Very clear about what Sedition is coming up to, and very likely.
Thank you.
I like the whole roadmap. What you guys are doing and where you're coming from. Yeah, for MetaRembrandt, like I said, previously, we're just going to build towards the MetaRembrandt Museum. We're just going to do partnerships with the right parties, like Sedition, like we're also partnering now with ArtQ, for example, just to make sure that we can gather as many art enthusiasts, old master enthusiasts, fine art enthusiasts, so to say, for the MetaRembrandt Museum supporting us and willing to go on this adventure with us. So like I said, we're just going to build towards the MetaRembrandt Museum. In the meantime, going to launch the Meta book, but also going to launch the grid. And after the MetaRembrandt Museum, we will be looking into other innovative solutions or extras like the touching glove technology, but also of course suggestions by the community, which we are always listening to and trying to comply with. So from that point of view, I'm very glad that we've had this conversation. Really enjoyed the talk, the discussion, and anything like that. And just hoping to see a fruitful collaboration from here, and also looking forward to the Art for Art competition, of course, tomorrow, which will endure for a couple of days for people to participate in.
Thank you, Jess. We will make out or put out a lot more information about that and announce it to the entire Sedition community soon as well. So watch this space, or all of our spaces, in fact.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure to be here and to have the complete discussion with you guys.
Likewise.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys, for a great discussion. And let's be in touch. And it's really great that now Sedition and MetaRembrandt started this collaboration. Also looking forward to the Art for Art competition. Thank you.
Yes.
Brilliant.
For sure. Thank you.
Guys,
thank
you so much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure seeing you. Bye.